Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. This is episode 241. Each week on the Geeks Unleashed podcast, we catch up on our pop culture lives. We discuss sometimes some movie news, sometimes some trailer reactions, but we always bring you a movie review. Actually, next week we'll be doing a TV season review. And I am always, as usual, joined by the hottest guests on YouTube, not guests, but hosts on YouTube. This week it's just me and Lawrence. Welcome back, Lawrence.
Hey,
I don't know why I called you a guest. I don't know why I called you a guest. You've become part of the furniture. Right, okay. So before we get started, if you're on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe, etc. If you're watching live, please feel free to join in. Hold on. Oh, hi, John. Yes, we are doing the TV series next week. So, John, if you want to look at an episode that came out 2 days ago, we reviewed the graphic novel, and tonight we are chatting about the movie. We will discuss ultimate cut, theatrical cut, etc. And if you come back next Friday, we're doing the TV show. So anyway, John, thanks for tuning in. Right, okay, so yeah, before we get started, etc., like, subscribe, or like John, please join in the conversation, and please also let us know what you loved or maybe didn't love about Watchmen. And if you are later on listening or watching on your favorite podcast platform, again, please feel free to do the same. And right, man, yeah, cheers for joining. Lawrence, how you doing?
Pretty good. Excited to talk the theatrical version of this.
Right, yeah, so just before we get started, honestly, it is like super freaking hot here. So for anyone who keeps an eye on things, I've had a shave. So it's just getting too hot, and I was like, nah, man, this beer's got to go. I'm wearing shorts, the fan is on. It's honestly like a desert in England at the moment. So, right, there's a feature that we do here on Geeks Unleashed. It's called Geek of the Week. So Geek of the Week is something that myself or Lawrence or anyone else that's on the show has enjoyed that week, whether we've read, watched, or etc. Lawrence, what's your Geek of the Week this week?
The end of Oak Street.
Oh, no way! Like, that's mine too.
All right, well we can discuss it right now.
Yeah.
So saw it last night, and wow. I mean, if you love dinosaur movies, this is it. I mean, you get the human drama element of it, you get the visual spectacle of dinosaurs, but also just very shocking moments throughout this movie. So I don't know how you want to talk about it, but
yeah, we won't spoil it because I mean it's literally only, I think, officially got released, I think today, maybe there was some previews yesterday or something, but I got to watch it in previews on Monday. So because I've got an unlimited pass where I can go to the cinema unlimited, as it's in the name, we were given a special preview showing for unlimited pass holders, and my wife and me went Monday evening. Actually, it was very nice. Went to Pizza Express, got some pizza, got a couple of drinks. We went to the cinema, saw End of Oak Street. We enjoyed our last child-free evening as our kids were away for about 6 days camping, and went to see End of Oak Street. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. I love all of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. Yeah, I even love the new Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Rebirth. It did get me think, you know what, like, there's not enough dinosaur movies. There really isn't enough dinosaur movies. There needs to be more dinosaur movies. I actually started looking it up afterwards. It's not, unless you go down the B movie world, there is really not enough A movies made that are dinosaurs. You got the Jurassic Park franchise, but anyway.
Have you seen Primitive War? Because that movie, I guess Primitive War. I'm pretty sure it's Primitive War. Maybe I get that title mixed up all the time. It was a limited release movie last year, and Luke Spark was the director of that one. It's on Hulu in the U.S., but it's basically like world or Vietnam with dinosaurs, and it's insane.
Well, it's got Tracy Heffler in it from Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm. And it's I guess it falls into the camp of B movies, but I feel like Jurassic Park is a lot of fun, but like it's got its structure, right? Like even without the park, they're kind of like, we have to go here and do this, thing at the lab, and then dinosaurs ensue. I like when we finally remove those kind of limits, and it's sort of like dinosaurs just kind of get to do whatever the hell they want, as primal as they want to be, and then humans are just kind of thrown into the world like the mix of it. So yeah, it's a good time.
Oh, the lead of that film, Ryan, I don't know, Quatin, he's Australian, I believe, and he was Jason Stackhouse in True Blood.
Oh, I've not seen True Blood, so I don't, not familiar, but yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it is wild, and it just kind of keeps building on itself, but it is thoroughly a good time if you like dinosaur movies.
So to come back to the End of Oak Street,
Yeah.
I thought End of Oak Street was just so good. Honestly, you know, I love the fact that it's set in the 80s. I hadn't realised that from the trailers. I hadn't picked that up, so that kind of caught me a little bit off guard. I really enjoyed that, and I just love the fact that like we get this slow build up to eventually them going back in time, and that's not a spoiler. You work that out from the trailers that have come out, and I love the fact that it's just like a little trickle, some little um, plants from the past showing up and other little bits and pieces. So there's stagger our way there to the moment it happens, and then the moment the audience obviously knows when they're in the past, and it's just so enjoyable to have the cast or the characters work it out like what's going on, and to eventually the street is just chaotic. And yeah, look, I don't want to ruin it, but this is a really good film, like really just a fun movie, like really fun, and you know, brilliantly acted. Anne Hathaway, man,
She's having an amazing year. She did Mother Mary, which is like my number one movie for the year. Devil Wears Prada 2, The Odyssey, and End of Oak Street. So it's just like, man, just killing it.
The way the emotional depth and just everything about her, the way she sort of draws you in, you know, is great. You know, but yeah, look, there's some twists in here along the way, which were cool. There was one little bit. I'll have to ask you when we finish. There's one little thing that I thought about. It hit me a couple of days after the film had finished, and I had a time travel question, but I can't ask it without ruining it. So, but yeah, it was brilliant. It was really, like, honestly, anyone listening, it is really good. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. You know, it's a really good film.
Yeah, I'll need to look at my rating scale, but I think I'll probably say, just to be safe, probably like a 3.5 out of 4, 3.5 out of 5, maybe 4. But yeah, like, I mean, I just saw it last night, so I haven't really had time to digest it.
I think it's difficult, like, you know, you watch a film and you're like, okay, that's a 5 out of 5. And then you watch another film, which is, say, a completely different style, different budget. You're like, oh, that's also a 5 out of 5. You know, it's kind of sometimes it's difficult to overlay how you get to it, but I just try and judge every film on its individual merits. Like, you know, for me, End of Oak Street was a really fun time, so I'm going 4 out of 5 on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I've got a rating scale that I have for myself that's like mathematical in quotes, and like I try to be as unbiased, even though it comes all down to taste, right? I mean, like, you know, I'll fully admit when a movie is pressing my buttons and it's like, this movie is garbage, but I love it, and you know, like, people need to see it. But you know,
I always talk about Madam Web, how I went in. No, like, because I liked that film, like, and, but I went in there with really, really low expectations. I was like, this is a Sony Disney villain movie. I am not going in there with high expectations. You know, this is not a Tarantino film. You know, this is not a Zack Snyder film. This is, I can't really remember who directed it actually, but this is a Sony villain movie, and they don't have a good track record. But I went in there and I was like, do you know what? It was all right. Like, you know, I was like, it was enjoyable. I thought it was an enjoyable film, and so, you know, I can't hang on it. And I think I've had this conversation with Jasmine, and Jasmine said she loves the Craven movie, even though that film is really fucking garbage.
Yeah, I think I prefer Craven over Madam Web. I want to write a dissertation on Madam Web and just like the nightmare that is that movie.
Oh, it is a bad movie. Like, I'm not going to dispute that it is a bad movie, but I watched it and I thought it was alright. Like, you know.
Yeah, I'm more blown away at like the idea of releasing a like incomplete thought, right? Like I feel like there's a moment where they play the let's name the baby, and it's obviously supposed to be Peter Parker, but because of rights issues, they're like, we can't say his name, so we'll just kind of keep saying names around it. And then it was like, then why have that in the movie? You know, like the movie was already cut up like
I'm sure Marvel would have been like, it's fine.
Well, I think Marvel gets final say on those, because like if you watch the trailers for like Morbius, there is a point where like the movie cuts around it, but like at one point he's in the trailer, Morbius is walking down an alleyway and you see a poster of what looks like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and it says murderer on it. And then in the movie they like cut the frame so that way you don't see the poster, and it's just like I feel like there's like weird edits that happen after the movie is done, but you would think that like they would think about that before filming a whole movie and being like, what do you want in your movie, or you know, what are you allowing us to do? And it's sort of
I think audiences are intelligent enough to get that if they created I don't know, man, we could have a whole episode on this, but if they were to have actually put these villains within Andrew Garfield's universe and carried it on. But they could have actually done the reverse of what's happening now. Brought some of the Marvel people across and said, look, it's our universe, but we'll give you 10% of each film. You know, or whatever the current Disney arrangement is with the Tom Holland movies. You help us create our own little universe, and maybe they could have fine-tuned it a little bit and got some of those villains in there within, and even brought in the Tom Hardy Venom. I love that. Honestly, there should have been more done. There should have been more cohesiveness to it, and I'm sure Marvel Disney could have got on board with it being a separate universe. You know, even James Gunn has said about the Batman films are not part of his universe. He just put it out. He just did a little video and said they're not there. They're Elseworlds. You know, that's all Disney had to do. Just say, look, they're not part of the MCU. It's like they're on another Earth. You know, so. Right, okay. So I'm not going to do any news this week. There's a lot of stuff coming out of D23. We might mop it up next week or do something separate, but we're going to just talk about our main event. As we started 2 days ago, this is Watchmen Month. 2 days ago, we had a panel with me, Lawrence, Derek, Finn, and Jasmine, and we reviewed Alan Moore's Watchmen. Long time coming on this show. I've been talking about doing it for years. But then I thought, the only thing is, I thought when I do it, though, I'm going to want to go all out. So that's what we're doing. And this week, we are going to do the Watchmen movie tonight. Now, I actually haven't lined Lawrence up with this, but I decided actually let's grab the trailer of Watchmen and then we'll jump into the review.
Cool.
Just a matter of time, I suppose.
Watchmen. One of us died tonight. Somebody knows why. Somebody knows.
I heard he'd been working for the government. Maybe it was a political killing.
Maybe someone's picking off costumed heroes.
John thinks that there's going to be a nuclear war.
What if that's why someone wants us out of the way? So we can't do anything to stop it. An attack on one is an attack on all of us.
Watchmen are over. What do you suggest we do about it?
Retribution.
We can save this world.
Why would I save the world I no longer have any stake in?
Do it for me.
nor a whisper. No.
I mean, it's a great trailer.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so I'm going to read out quite a few bits here. Watchmen, written by David Hayter, Alex Tiss, based on the graphic novel by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Although it doesn't credit Alan Moore, which we can discuss. Directed by Zack Snyder, it's produced by Lawrence Gordon, Lloyd Levlin, and Deborah Snyder. It stars a lot of people: Malin Ackerman, Billy Crudup, Matthew Good, Jackie Earle Haley, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson, man, I did not realize he was in this. He gets around the superhero world, I'll tell you. So, right, this was released on March 6, 2009. Now, there's 3 separate running times here. The theatrical cut had a running time of 2 hours and 42 minutes. The director's cut had a running time of 3 hours and 6 minutes. And the ultimate cut had a running time of 3 hours and 35 minutes. Now, from what I've researched already, the director's cut is the same as the ultimate cut in terms of the live action element. However, the ultimate cut also includes the animated Tales of the Black Freighter, which is integrated and spiced into the movie. And little fun fact here for you: Zack Snyder prefers the director's cut over the ultimate cut. Right, okay, this had a budget of about 130 million US dollars. At the box office, it made 135 million US dollars worldwide. I imagine this is probably why they released a lot of merch and Blu-rays with different masks and different variations of Blu-rays and DVDs, and you can get like your Rorschach copy that's got a Rorschach mask. I imagine off the back end when they were putting it all out to the retail world, they probably made a lot more there. Right, okay. Here's some facts for you, which I've researched. This is normally what Jasmine loves, the fun facts, as she calls them. Right, I thought this was really interesting. Dr. Manhattan's glow was real on set. So to create Dr. Manhattan's ambient blue light, Billy Crudup wore a special suit embedded with over 2,500 blue LED lights during filming, so that his co-stars had blue light actually reflecting off their faces in real time. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like they did something similar with was it Black Widow's outfit, and possibly maybe it was just LED strips on the Tron Legacy suits.
Oh, maybe it was, maybe Tron, yeah, I can imagine that. Right, okay, this next fun fact: this movie has been stuck in development hell for over 20 years. It has had various directors attached to it before it got made by Zack Snyder. Terry Gilliam, Darren Aronofsky, Paul Greengrass, to name a few, and there was various points other people, and then Zack Snyder eventually took over and it got made. Okay, so third fact for you, come back to the suits. The latex costumes that they all wore were so heavy and tight that actors had to go through grueling training regimes just to be able to wear those suits. Jeffrey Dean Morgan has famously hated his suit so much that he likened it to wearing it was a daily punishment. So,
that's funny because I feel like his is probably the most comfortable looking as far as like not Rorschach's costume, right?
His looks pretty light. I reckon the owl costume must have been a pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought this bit's interesting. In 2009, when this movie was released, now this is it shared the big screen with several high-profile movies that year. The first Avatar movie came out, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Twilight Saga: New Moon. So it was a packed year, right? So you could see this film had some competition. Right, last thing I'm going to read out before we jump out into the review. This is the IMDb summary. This, in a version of 1985 where superheroes exist, the murder of a colleague sends active vigilante Rorschach on a trail of conspiracy that will change the course of history. It's a fairly good teaser, if I'm honest. So well on IMDb for having a fairly accurate summary of a movie. Some of these IMDb summaries are fairly awful. Right, okay. Let's jump into it. This is the first time I've watched any version of this. at all. I have been holding off watching anything animated until I'd finally read this book, which is, I feel like it's been like the thing looking at me for multiple years, and I'm glad that I finally got around to it and discussed it with you guys the other day. So you've watched it already, I think, once. Is that right?
Yeah. So this is the first movie I ever fell asleep in the theater. So this one has kind of haunted me in terms of like that was the only time I ever quote unquote saw the movie.
Okay.
So
when you say you fell, okay, I'm interested. When you say you fell asleep, did you just fall asleep intermittently, or did you just fall asleep at a period of time and then not see the rest of it?
I think I fell asleep for a period of time. I woke up at one point, but it was like, and then saw the rest of the movie after that. But like,
okay, so you missed like a chunk in the middle.
Yeah, so I missed. It's easy to say that I missed something, if not a good chunk of the movie. But yeah, no. So this is the first time I've watched it since 2009. And similarly with my copy of the Watchmen trade that took 10 years for me to open. so we're getting caught up.
I'm there. Yeah, no, I'm there with you. Look, I've had this graphic novel. It's definitely under 10 years. Just under 10 years. I've probably had this, and I think I made it. I don't know if I. Oh yeah, here it is. Like, this was the bookmark that I used to have in it. This is a gym membership flyer from when I used to work in High Wycombe, which where I used to live. I haven't lived in that area for almost 6 years, and I used to work in High Wycombe, and that was a gym near an office where I used to work. So I had read half of Watchmen 4, and yeah, so I got into it probably around 8 or 9, 10 years ago, and I read half of it, and I don't know what happened. I didn't carry on reading it for some reason. So yeah, like you just said, we're catching up. Right, okay. So you watched a bit of the beginning and a bit of the end. So really, this week is your first real watch of this week.
Yeah. That's how I've been framing it.
Okay. So on a first watch this week, how do you feel about it? Like, what's your sort of thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I guess
your initial reaction.
For this week. First reaction, I feel like I was justified in falling asleep in terms of just how dense this movie is, right? Like, the graphic novel is super dense. The movie, I feel like, is a slave to that material in the sense that, like, the movie starts with like talking heads talking about the Cold War and nuclear disaster being imminent. And I feel like that part of the movie, I'm already feeling my eyes kind of glaze over. But as soon as we get to the inciting incident with the comedian getting thrown out of his apartment, I'm like, okay, like now I'm back in. But then, again, the movie ebbs and flows, but like, there's some low lows and some high highs in this movie. So overall, I enjoyed it much more this time around than I did the first time. But there's still a part of me that feels like, yeah, it's not entirely your fault that you fell asleep during this movie. And I was a kid, so I mean, I didn't know what I was walking into as far as how adult this movie would be in terms of politics and all that.
Well, even just violence and brutality and sexual attack.
It's just more the idea that, like, with all of the nuclear or Cold War history, right? Like, I'm
as well. Like, what age rating was this?
I think this was rated R, and then I was 2009.
2009, yeah.
24. So
okay. When you said a kid, I thought you were like 17.
Oh no. Like, I mean, kid in terms of like I'm in like college at this point and stuff like that. But it's just like
So probably in 24, you're trying to say you weren't interested in the political commentary of the movie.
Yeah, and it's just like that's a lot of information for a young adult to be sitting in when all you think you're going to get is a superhero movie, and then you're like, whoa, okay. What is happening?
Do you think having read the graphic novel this week makes you appreciate the film more? Like, I know you didn't see it fully, but saw parts of it.
Yeah, I think it does. Like, one of my problems that I had with the opening sequence was like the dialogue that the comedian has, and I feel like if you haven't read the graphic novel, at least for me, it felt like you were being punished for watching this movie because it was just like some of the dialogue in it. I'm sitting there going like, what is that supposed to mean? Am I supposed to know who this person is? Like, I know that like the movie would explain all of these things, but it's just like how long it takes to unravel all of that, how long it takes to unpack what's happening and just kind of even just their mannerisms of how they talk, it's very, at times, just lifted from the page, which is cool, but at times it doesn't feel like it works in terms of like the delivery of some of these actors and the material. But yeah.
Oh, cool. No, I am. My. So look, I've not watched any, although I feel like I may have seen bits somewhere. I don't know where. There was definitely in the first half an hour. I feel like there was bits that I've seen. Now I don't know whether it was that I sat down to watch some of it. However, I am like you, treating this as a first watch. Even though there was definitely some chunks at the start that felt very familiar to me, so I don't know what happened. Maybe I put it on and then made myself turn it off after a while, thinking I want to watch a graphic novel. That feels like something I might have done. However, this week on a first watch, I said to Lawrence, "We'll both watch the theatrical cut." I didn't. I watched the ultimate cut at the end. And look, just to break this down, they are almost very similar. So the theatrical cut and the director's cut. The director's cut is sort of half an hour longer, and because throughout the movie they've expanded on several scenes, and that's anything from 30 seconds to maybe 5 minutes a scene. And when I was looking at the differences in the director's cut, they give a lot more background on characters and flesh them out a little bit more. Make some conversations go on a little bit more than what you saw in the theatrical cut. However, and then the ultimate cut is exactly the same as the director's cut. However, they've spiced in the animation of the Black Sails. And when I watched a little clip of Zack Snyder, didn't sound like he loved that. So he said his favorite version is the director's cut. So
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's funny that we all kind of had that moment during the graphic novel conversation. So not surprising that if he's like, I'm okay with not having that in the movie.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where it was a bit like we said this yesterday about we didn't really love the Black Sails element. It kind of almost feels like he didn't really love the Black Sails element in his own movie, but there we go. So and each DVD and Blu-ray release may have some of the same features, but then equally the director's cut has some that the ultimate cut doesn't have. So you can imagine as a collector, you're probably going to end up wanting all of these cuts, right?
They did release that like perfect collection at one point.
Oh, right, okay. Okay. So on my first watch of this movie, honestly, I loved it. I really, truly loved it. I was like almost mesmerized. I watched it all last night. I watched the whole 3.5 hour ultimate cut. And me and Lawrence Ray was talk about the film itself because the differences are, I think, in regards to the live action elements are almost there or thereabouts the same. But yeah, my gut reaction to this, the cinematography, the acting, the world building, just almost one for one taking this from the graphic novel, other than one particular moment at the end, the nuclear element they changed. But from what I can see, this looks like probably the truest and true adaptations of a graphic novel that I've seen, if I'm honest with you. Because a lot of the DCU and MCU stuff, they're just inspired by these stories. They kind of retrofit them to shape the shared universes that they've created. But this standalone piece of work is just magnificent. Honestly, I was like watching this, just all the different sequences, when they slow things down, the music, the style. I was like, this is fucking brilliant. I would honestly, I would watch it again, but I just think it's just so good. I was 100% there for it. Look, I really loved it. I felt like reading the graphic novel a couple of days ago, and then watching this film the very next day after that we talked about it. It was like brilliant. It felt like I'm watching this graphic novel now come to life and buying into these characters and seeing the emotional depth that Alan Moore gave us now suddenly on the big screen. Well, on my TV. And look, man, and if I'm going to shout out a favorite character right now, he might be messed up, man. He may not be everyone's favorite cup of tea, but Rorschach, honestly,
right?
Yeah, Rorschach in this film, fucking brilliant. I was like rooting for him Spoiler here, guys. It's over 10 years old. Well, not 10 years old. It's about 8 or 9 years old. Man, when he gets it at the end, I was rooting for that to not happen. I really was. I was rooting for that to really not happen. But Devon, who normally is on here, shout out, hi guys. I believe he's packing right. He's packing right now. He's getting ready to move house. So thanks Devon for joining in. Here we go. Devon agrees that he is the best character in the movie. Honestly, yeah. Like Rorschach, honestly, hands down. Do you know what I Googled before we started watching it, talking about this? I would love to buy a figure, but I couldn't find any figures for like less than 75 quid. So they must not be making any new ones right now. But man, I completely bought into Rorschach. He just all about him, how messed up he was. He was almost like real world Batman. That's how it felt like to me, like real world Batman, like fucked up, you know.
Yeah.
Solely mission driven, etc. Yeah, so actually that's a good shout out here, actually, Devon. So I wanted to talk about, Lawrence, what your favorite standout moment is of this film. And now Lawrence kind of teed this up. Devon has teed this up for me a little bit. I really love this whole montage of them getting their, like the owl and getting the ship, the rescue mission, Rorschach in prison. Man, that brutality when they get that saw out and cut their hands off. And,
when they're trying to get into his prison.
trying to get into, honestly, that whole montage of the sort of prison break and the prisoners all going crazy. Honestly, it was just, that was, I mean, it wasn't comfortable viewing, but that whole moment was just so good. I felt like that was getting the band back together, but it was just so cool to watch. But did you have a standout moment from this film?
Yeah. So fun fact, I watched the movie before we read the graphic novel, so I'm looking forward to rewatching / watching the ultimate cut after having read the graphic novel.
Okay.
But I think my favorite scene actually is the moment where Ozymandias is like explaining everything that's happened. Like I forgot to mention it during the graphic novel conversation, but he is my favorite villain because of the idea that like the moment that Rorschach and Dan like confront him, they're like, when do you plan on doing this attack? He's like, I did it 35 minutes ago, guys. And you're just like, it's like, oh my god. And when he explains the idea that like the hero's failure is the only way to succeed in protecting the world. I like, again, when we talked about subversion, that's one of those moments that just like kind of breaks my brain, being like, wow, this guy, like, you were saying how the story starts out with just a murder mystery and then it becomes this giant thing that kind of like becomes almost, conspiracy level type stuff, which, Rorschach is the great, narrator or surrogate for this story. But like when he is just going on about how he's been planning this for forever and like has thought it all out, like that is one of the best moments for me, at least in this movie, possibly in like superhero like subversion kind of stuff. Seriously.
I think Ozymandias as a villain is up there with Thanos. The drive of, this is the great, Thanos, when he was killing off 50% of the world, or 50% of all civilization everywhere, it's very much Ozymandias, like, I'm going to kill, I don't know, 2 million people for the benefit of the 5 billion people, whatever the numbers were. And he was like, yep, it sounds like a good deal. I'm going to do it. I'm going to crack on.
And I love that, they even kind of bring in the Robin like suit for him, right? Like he's got the tight bodysuit and whatnot. But that's probably my favorite moment in the movie, is just that reveal and all the way through to the end of this movie. But
did you? I know I said Rorschach. I loved Rorschach. Was it the same for you? Is that your favorite?
Yeah. So I like, one of the things that I would complain about with this movie is, again, a lot of the dialogue is straight out of the comic book, which is not a problem.
So much of it is lifted from the graphic novel.
But I feel like, someone like Patrick Wilson at times was delivering them just so flatly that it's just sort of like, maybe we should have rewritten this scene to include that anecdote, but maybe don't quote it verbatim. Whereas Rorschach, I do think, Jackie Earle Haley's performance is like amazing, because not only does he say these crazy things, but I feel like the gruff voice that he chose, it just comes through, even though you could argue that, it's maybe ADR, that, it all just got recorded after the fact. But
do you not think they look like? Do you not think they just found someone who literally looks like the spitting image of the character he's playing in the graphic novel? I was so thrown off when they took the mask off. I was just like, this is him. This is the guy. This is the guy that's red. It's the same bloke. They did a really good job. Honestly, the casting director for this should get a pat on the back. That was a real similarity in the illustration from Dave Gibbons.
Because like some of the deviations they do in the movie, I think, are really nice touches, right? Like when Rorschach's mask gets pulled off, he does the moment where he yells, like, "Give me back my face." But the idea that he goes and gets his face and his stuff during the prison breakout sequence, I think, adds more than being like, "Oh, let's go back to my apartment where I need to go get like my spare change of clothes, and my landlady's there and I'll have some sort of interaction with her." But like I feel like the movie could have benefited from more of that kind of stuff, and like we can talk about the ultimate change of the.
That's what I was going to talk about. Now. It's actually look, guys. Spoilers if you haven't seen the graphic novel. So if you haven't read the graphic novel and you haven't watched the film, the graphic novel, Ozymandias kills a lot of people to save the benefit of everybody, and he blames it on an alien invasion. And he does it with transforming a giant squid above Manhattan and kills people off. In this movie, they did not go down the alien route, which I was fully expecting to happen. I was really, I kept thinking, if I'm honest with you, I kept thinking an alien invasion is going to really fucking ruin this film. Like, I really thought it's going to they played this movie fairly straight, right? Like, this felt like it could have been real, if I'm honest. They played it very realistic to a superhero movie being realistic. But I thought, fuck, I don't know how they're going to make this alien invasion now fit with the rest of this film, and they didn't do it. And when they pulled the thing out about look, to jump back, okay, look, yeah, all right, yeah, look, yeah, Devon, you may as well come on. And do you know what? That is actually one of the best lines in the whole film. Honestly, you're not trapped in here. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. When he said that, I was like, fucking yes. I was like, yeah. Imagine just being that hard. Like you've got that much bravado, and yeah, honestly, he like Rorschach does not give a shit. He is Rorschach through and through. It doesn't matter whether he's got a mask on or not. He is Rorschach. But actually, like, to go back to what you said about where's my face, that is who he is. He's Rorschach.
Yeah. I mean, it totally nails it.
Right. Okay. So to come back to the change that we were talking about, so they blame the nuclear thing on Dr. Manhattan. They line up Dr. Manhattan throughout the movie, which happened in the graphic novel, but in the graphic novel it was done to ostracize Dr. Manhattan, get rid of him, get him out of the picture so he wasn't a thorn in Ozymandias' side for this plan. But actually, Ozymandias has geared Dr. Manhattan up with things like cancer and various other things, and then leads to this bomb going off and blaming it on Dr. Manhattan. And somehow, bizarrely, that makes everybody, this Cold War come to an end, which I wasn't like completely buying, if I'm honest. I don't really see why the Russians are going to be like, oh, okay, your main deterrent turned on you, so now we're going to unite and hold hands. I was like, But the reason they ditched it was due to pacing, that they would have to have injected, Zack Snyder's words, a sort of 30-minute side quest into the back half of this movie to make this movie work if they matched it up completely to the graphic novel. Now, I thought, well, you did go and make the ultimate cut. Maybe you could have made the ultimate cut with actually having the side quest in. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the difference in the alien invasion versus Dr. Manhattan being the sort of the person who gets blamed for this, should we say?
Yeah, so I actually like how they do it in the movie in terms of just making that make sense, right? Like you said, like that could have been really weird with the alien. Personally, I wish that we could flip them, like do blame Dr. Manhattan in the graphic novel and do the alien in
The movie.
on screen, only because like the alien in the book is just so static that I feel like you could just easily port that over. I know that like it makes for a really weird element of storytelling when all of a sudden you've gone from this kind of grounded world to like this alien invasion, but I feel like that's supposed to be kind of like an ultimate like what the fuck moment where you know this thing just teleports, it's only one of them, everyone's afraid now because there's something like this out there and there's probably more of them. But yeah, like all that to say that the movie, I think they did an amazing job kind of creating that contrivancy, because like not only do you get to blame that on Dr. Manhattan, you know, it does, like one of the things I liked in the graphic novel was like all of the human elements. Like I think Jasmine and I complained about like the president and like all of the stuff that happens, you know, in the bunker, but I like the stuff that happens on the street because I feel like everybody is watching the world potentially on the brink of, you know, nuclear war, right? Like the clock has moved 5 minutes to doomsday, but like the idea that people still behave the way that they would regularly kind of just shows that idea that like even though nuclear war is imminent and we're all afraid when we're getting the headlines, everybody still just acts the way that they normally do. But then it takes a situation like an alien attack that kills half of New York City, or in this case, blaming it on Dr. Manhattan for killing half of New York. That to me, you know, creates that tension of being like, oh, these people were just living their lives, and then all of a sudden this terrible thing happens, and you know they weren't warned about it, right? Like there was no warning. You kept bracing for that moment, but then you know the attack comes when no one's expecting it. So I think that was one of the things I wish that they did a little bit more of in the movie. But like I think that blaming it on Dr. Manhattan after everyone kind of already is afraid of him makes a lot more sense in the world that, you know, story that they told.
I just can't see it being like Zack Snyder's style to go and throw a massive giant squid at Manhattan and drop it down. It feels like, you know, without slagging somebody off, it feels like a James Gunn move. It does though. Like it feels like something James Gunn would go down that route and embellish and really embrace it. But I just feel like Zack Snyder's trying to tell a much more realistic version of a superhero graphic novel, and James Gunn would happily embrace all of these comic book quirks a lot more. And I imagine I don't think it would have worked if it was a James Gunn film, but I think he would have tried to make it a lot more lighthearted, and that wouldn't have worked for this film. But the alien invasion, I'm glad we didn't go down that road. I think it works much stronger with the build-up that we have with Dr. Manhattan, and then him being the scapegoat of this, and then he's sort of, now I'm going to go off and make a new life and stuff like that, and go away from here. I feel like that would have worked really well in the graphic novel, that as well. But
I was just gonna say though, like I find it interesting only because like there are times in that we're in the city and then we see like those blimps with like kind of long tendrils that I thought they were kind of priming us to be like, oh, okay, like, you know, this won't look as weird, and especially because like, you know, the alien invasion, I wish that was more present in the graphic novel, because it's just kind of like it teleports there, it, you know, kind of wreaks havoc and kind of just dies. So like that's why I'm just kind of like, yeah, I guess you could have threw it in this movie and just made it look, you know, very cinematic / photogenic for just the horror of this monster tearing through the city. But yeah.
I did think to myself, maybe the theatrical cut could have just stuck with the Dr. Manhattan, but actually the ultimate cut could have been, fuck it, Israeli invasion. You know, like
that would have been cool.
that would have been cool to have seen two different versions. Like, you know, you gave us almost an hour longer film with the ultimate cut, so maybe you could have just given us that side quest that you didn't want to do. But look, this is what it is. I liked what they did. Now, had you done the invasion, probably would have liked that still. I think Zack Snyder, how he's put this film together, has, I don't know, for me, I just think it's brilliant how he's put it together. Which actually lies me up to the next question I want to throw you. Kind of as we're gearing towards a summary of it, what's your rewatchability of this film? You know, is it a film? I know you fell asleep, but if there was a re-release, would you go watch this on the big screen?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I think this movie does require a rewatch after watching it the first time, because again, for me, just walking in looking for a superhero movie, obviously that's probably not the way that you're supposed to go into this movie, right? But I think most people, when you watch that trailer, it's sort of like, I can get on board with this, like, let's go. I've not read the graphic novel, but maybe I'll check it out after watching said movie. But after watching it, I think that it does welcome and warrant multiple rewatches, because there's just so much happening, both on screen and off screen. Like, I mean, one of the moments that like jumps out at me is when Dan and Lori are at dinner and they're talking about their sordid past of superheroing. Like, there's a random line that like I heard with the rear speakers on, that was like, somebody was like, I'll order the 4-legged chicken, and I'm just like, what is that? And I'm like, it has nothing to do with the conversation that they're having. It just,
but those are things that were in the graphic novel, though. You saw pictures of the 4-legged chicken, because things were more advanced in that version of 1985 because of Dr. Manhattan. They had like electric vehicles, and they had these, I don't know, chemically engineered food. And there's a picture in the graphic novel somewhere of a 4-legged chicken. So they're throwing that in, yeah. So.
And yeah, like I just feel like Zack Snyder is that kind of director, right? Like, if you watch Man of Steel, all the Krypton stuff, right? Like, I mean, Krypton is a blink in that movie's runtime, but he spends so much time building it that it's like you almost want to pause it. And like, I mean, we used to do this exercise in film critic class where you would take like a small scene that you loved, and you would pause it frame by frame, like literally frame by frame, you're and just kind of looking for how the camera moves and what they're kind of wanting to show. And I feel like Zack Snyder is the type of person who always fills that screen with something to look at, and like you kind of are rewarded for watching it multiple times and kind of dissecting it.
There's a podcast, I can't remember what they do now, but it's called 1 Minute Podcast. And they review the same film, and they release an episode 1 minute at a time, and they break down literally that singular minute into a podcast show.
Okay.
I don't recall ever listening to the podcast, but I know that I've seen it advertised. And like, that's kind of what you said about film study school. I feel like that's probably would be cool to do, just to break down certain elements of this film, like a tiny piece. So yeah, well. Yeah, look, for me, to come back to the rewatchability, big screen question, and this is before we started recording, I said to Lawrence, I really regret massively not seeing this on the big screen now, having watched this at home. I watched this last night. I did watch it on my car. I watched all 3.5 hours long last night. I watched it. I was like, I'm not going to bed until I watch all this. It's so good. Like, honestly, the next words are going to leave my mouth. I'm a bit worried, like, if people might like try to go for me or something. But when I watched this film last night, when it finished, maybe it's too extreme for some people, but I was like, absolute cinema went through my mind. I was like so blown away by this movie. I just thought it was just so brilliant. I was like, I wanted more from it, just more. So the rewatchability thing for me is 100% there. I'd be keen to see the different versions to make comparisons. So look, I love that Zack Snyder seems to make movies that have multiple cuts. Keep doing it, No, because it's just like when you go back to rewatch something, it's like, actually there's a slightly different version. Let's go watch that other version. It might add something or a little twist on it. Right? Yeah, I feel if they ever did a re-release, big screen, I would be there. Yeah, look, I'm there for this movie. I just think it's so rich. They pulled almost word for word from the graphic novel. Yeah, okay, some of it doesn't pan as well as it and translate as well as it should, but I think for the most part it's there. Like, it's other than that alien invasion, but other than that, it's pretty much one for one the graphic novel.
Yeah,
different actors handle it well, and maybe some not so well, but the overall package is there. And for me, if you guys in 2026 have not watched this movie, I know we've spoiled some shit here, but just go and watch it. Honestly, just go and watch whatever version you can watch If you don't like animated stuff, really anti it, like just watch the director's cut. I think actually that's the one we should probably recommend. Is the director's cut. It's about 3 hours long. So if you can't do a 3-hour film, do an hour and a half one night, do an hour and a half the next, and you honestly will not regret it. Like, you will not. Put your phone down. Don't go on TikTok or Instagram. Forget those reels. Watch this film. This is honestly a beautifully directed, visually stunning movie. And yes, okay, kids should not be watching this movie. There is sex scenes in this movie. There is some violence in this movie. There is some sexual violence in this movie. This is not a superhero film. This is, like we talked about the other day, the deconstruction of the superhero. These are like the superpowers and the fame and all the rest of it. In some of their wrong hands, and then you have some that actually handle it better than others. But it's just so beautifully put together, in my opinion. So, yeah, look, I would love to see this on the big screen. If there's a re-release now, I'm going. I don't care where it is. I'm going to go. Well, I don't want to fly to America, but like, just for a film. But I would love to see this again.
No, that's understandable. I mean, that's the reason I bought my 85-inch TV. Like, I want to have as close to a cinema experience as I can.
Yeah, I've been saying this to my wife. I think we need to drop $3 or $4 on a new TV. So not that I've got $3 or $4 laying around, but
sure.
I just said to her, I think the next TV we get has got to be flipping huge. It's got.
Yeah.
I want a proper, a screen that takes up a whole wall. Right. Okay. How would you rate this movie, and have you got any final thoughts?
So I think I would probably be at like a 2.5, not having watched it after reading the graphic novel. I think that visually this movie is absolutely stunning. I think that the movie the movie source material / like story that they're telling might be a little too dense for the 2 hours that they're doing for the theatrical cut. But like, again, as I say that, I think about the idea that there are scenes that just bother me where, like, the first time that Dr. Manhattan teleports Laurie, it feels very abrupt. Like, he's at the funeral and then she gets sent to like where her mother is in California, and I'm kind of like, well, maybe we should have had like a second or two where the two of them are together and he sends her off, kind of a thing. But I mean, you said it, like, this, if you love the source material, this is probably as close as you're going to get to like a perfect 1-for-1 recreation of this movie, right? Because like, minus the change of the alien invasion element. But again, I think this is why Zack Snyder is the guy to do superhero movies. I'm an apologist for Batman v Superman, but I think Watchmen, this is probably where Alan Moore, talked about like how he disowns it because this his comic book gets co-opted to be too dark than the shades of gray that he wanted to necessarily highlight. And I think that this movie is
definitely a darker movie, yeah.
Oh yeah, and I just feel like this movie is kind of like a trudge through. But I think when we're back next week talking about the show, I'll have seen the ultimate cut by then, and I'm curious to see if my opinion changes at that point. But again, I think there's a lot of news, talking head stuff, and politics in this that kind of make my head spin, being like, all right, we're already doing the whole exposition dump with the plot, much less now we're injecting the news itself into this movie, which is like a nice realistic touch, but it's a little much at times.
Okay, so for me, look, man, I'm gonna probably. So you gave it 2.5 before the graphic novel. What would you give it again? Sorry.
I'll have to watch it, for next week's thing. So that's my rating for like watching it before I read the graphic novel.
Right. Okay. So 2.5. Okay. Well, pretty low actually. Shit. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to really disagree. I'm giving this 5 out of 5. Like, literally, I think this film was just fucking brilliant. Like, absolutely, I couldn't have enjoyed this anymore. I thought it was just really well done. But now I did watch it after the graphic novel, so maybe that bared some impact on having seen it. And yeah, but I was just like, yeah, honestly, I can't tell you, I really loved it. Just,
I no, like, and I don't even think that, like, I think we will have to agree to disagree right now. But even
Yeah.
knowing
next week,
it, like,
next week you'll be like, yeah, I watched it again. Like,
well, and that's the thing. Like, after we had our conversation about the graphic novel, I'm starting to realize how much I love that graphic novel, that I'm really excited to watch the ultimate cut. And I've got a feeling I'm going to come back and be like, this is great. It's like,
Yeah.
at bare minimum 4 out of 5 kind of a thing. But we'll see. But
No, honestly, do you know what? I was like, when it's going to end, I was like, I want a fucking sequel. I literally was going, I know there can't be a sequel. Well, they could do Doomsday Clock, they're not going to. But
well, I can't wait to talk the show next week, because I already started it, and I'm really curious to hear what you.
So I have deliberately not watched the show before we started recording. I wanted to come in and just have the movie in my mind.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for the graphic novel. I deliberately didn't watch this film. I wanted to watch the graphic novel on its own.
Yeah.
Watching this film on its own, and yeah, Lawrence, you're lining it up, right? So I'm 5 out of 5 with this movie. Lawrence is 2.5 out of 5. He's already promised us he's going to do a rewatch in the week and may shift his score, but right now he's 2.5 and I'm 5 out of 5. Next week on the Geeks and Niche podcast, we're going to be back to carry on Watchmen Month, and we will be doing the Watchmen miniseries that came out on HBO. I think it's like 8 or 9 episodes, I believe. So is it 9? Yeah, it's 9. Yeah. So currently, as planned, myself, Lawrence, and Jasmine will be back to talk about the TV show. We're honestly, I'm really looking forward to watching it. I've already read that it's a sequel, but it's a sequel to the graphic novel, not a sequel to the movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that with the minor changes that they made for the movie, right? Like, it might as well be a sequel to the movie, in quotes, right?
Okay, so it potentially could be, if you blur the lines a little bit. Right. All right, yeah, so we're back next week to talk about the TV show. We'll be same time on here on YouTube, and you can get your podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can do the video and the audio on Spotify. You can also follow us on social media. We're on all of them, Instagram, Facebook, etc. That seems to be what most people go to. But yeah, look, guys, thanks for joining in the chat as we've been going. Thanks for watching live, and if you catch us on the rewind, please drop a comment on YouTube or Spotify as to what you may or may not have liked about Watchmen. We will drop out now, and we will see you guys next week. So, bye, guys.